For 4 and 20, Australia's original fan food.
Yes.
We've been there for it all. Here he is, Max Gorn, Marty.
Good morning, Max.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good game against North. You were lucky to get over the line. You got the chocolates.
Yeah, we got off to a good start, so that helped. I think we kicked maybe the first 6 or 7. And
I was working Saturday night,
Yeah.
so I didn't watch any of it, Max, and I'm relieved because I was getting regular updates from the boys that I was working with.
Okay, yep.
And when it got out to about 13 goals, I thought, I reckon it's probably too big now.
Yeah.
And actually, I think we were 7 or 8 goals up, and then your young forward Comden broke his ankle.
I know.
Oh, that was
and
awful.
It
he's
was
had
a weird little 5-minute standstill, and then you had a flurry. You kicked 2. Yeah, really. That's the response.
snowstorm
The
of
response
goals.
was strong. No, look, it actually was a tough game. In the second half, North controlled the ball a little bit more, and it made us run a lot. So it was post the game, I was actually quite sore, fatigued. There's no real easy game, although the scoreline represents that. It definitely wasn't.
I won't relive our off-air conversation about on-ground leadership for North, but I will say I was disappointed. Tasmania.
That's hard for North to hear that too. Yeah.
Tasmania. Gillen says he's spoken to several star marquee players that would be willing to move to Tasmania. It's building some momentum, Max. I know you'll be probably maybe like definite twilight, possibly even post-career if this takes 5 years.
36 at this stage. There's
So
not
you
many of them.
won't be a marquee player heading down to Tassie, but I mean, it would have interested you, I guess. Although you're a club captain, it's a big move.
I mean, it interests me in terms of I love Tassie and I love the idea of a new team, but it doesn't interest me in terms of I also love the Melbourne Demons, so I probably wouldn't have gone.
No.
But I think it's a good concept. I reckon they're going to come in and be competitive. Like, this is a long build, 5-year build, 3 years in the VFL. I reckon they're going to come in and do like a sort of a West Coast Crows. They came in and they were pretty hot straight away.
Yeah.
Well, Will was talking through the draft sort of arrangements they're talking
they
about.
would like them to trade some of those early draft picks to clubs that need them,
Yep.
and then bring in some experienced players. Have you had
and a
teammates?
salary cap.
and
bump as well.
About $1 million in the first season or so. Have you had teammates over the journey that aren't into the big lights and the big smoke of the city and would like a move to a place like Tasmania?
Yeah, I certainly look at Geelong and think it's a competitive advantage that they have down there.
Yeah.
I've lived Peninsula for. I've just moved back into the city, but 3 of the last 4 years I was down in Blairgowrie. Personally, because I wanted to get out of the city, and I'm a city boy.
Yeah.
So there are these country boys that do enjoy that part of the world, and I'm presuming majority of people are wanting to go to Tassie if the money's right, obviously. And you're going to come across the loyal guys as well that want to stay at their own club, but I don't think it's going to be an issue getting players. It wasn't an issue for GWS, and they're in Blacktown, Greater Western Sydney.
Well, you wouldn't put your dog there, mate. 7 games in Hobart, 4 games in Launceston. It's only a 2.5-hour drive, Launceston to Hobart. I'm surprised they've given them 4 games, but they want it to be a Tasmanian experience. But they're spending $750 million on a stadium that at the moment is going to have 7 games in it. And they want a roof on it. The AFL is adamant a roof is required, which I don't think is part of the budget.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it'll be under a bill.
For 7 games a year.
I'm not strong on a roof. The advantage down there would be the weather.
For the locals, absolutely.
Yeah, like Geelong obviously is a pretty cold place to play footy, and they play on Friday nights, and the other team are all wearing long sleeves, and they're out there just loving it. 7 games seems. Do they have a drop-in pitch, maybe?
Well, they have to play cricket there.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah.
You'd think so.
They have to play Big Bash there. They'd have to play Test cricket there.
But if you have a fixed roof on it, you can't play Test cricket there. That's one of the issues.
Oh, Jesus.
Bellreeve's beautiful.
Oh, Bellreeve. Don't, William. We've got to grab that Will wants to play you. Will, walk us through this.
So Lee Montagna, Triple M's Lee Montagna on AFL 360 last night, he said this about tap ruck work and that it doesn't necessarily correlate with scoring, and he had some stats that he wanted to bring to the table.
So you just start to wonder how important is actually having a tap ruckman in the competition, because this goes on to lead to a goal. And when you look for the year, Collingwood have scored the most points from centre bounce in the competition this year. And teams like St Kilda, who have Rowan Marshall, the Western Bulldogs, who have Tim English, and Freo, who have Jackson and Darcy, are basically bottom 4 teams. They've scored less than half
So
of
you're-
what Collingwood have got from centre
So you're
bounce.
putting a line through Ruckman?
Well, it just makes you wonder how valuable they actually are in a game, because it's the debate that keeps raging.
Max,
Yes.
how important are ruckman in the AFL at the moment?
I mean, there is a debate. Ruck work, especially hit-outs when they get sharked by an opposition player, you go, what was the point of that? But it's all about a game of percentages and like almost gambling in a way. Where would you put your money based on this is what we've got for you in terms of evidence. You want to put the ball in your sort of area that you can put more players in, if that makes sense. So if my teammates know that we're going, let's say we break it into 4 quarters, they're going to know I'm hitting into this little section, quarter 2. We can work out that little area. And sometimes we're not going to win it, but it's not purely hitting the ball down someone's chest. But I also agree that the days of just being a tap ruckman are done as well. So you got to be able to bring more. And to be fair on Rowan Marshall and Tim English, they're literally winning games of football for their sides by what they're doing elsewhere. So I hear what he's saying, but I still think there's definitely room for the ruckman. Well, I hope so.
Well, what's the alternative?
Well, I mean, Collingwood are playing Billy Frampton, who is 200 centimetres. They're not playing Marty Sheargold.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to bring me into it, but I understand what you're saying, Max. Shorter guys.
Yeah, so they still are playing a competitive ruckman, and his job would be to make sure who they're playing the weekend. Riley O'Brien couldn't hit it to where he wanted to hit it. So they're still putting in a fair bit of work to make sure that the ruck doesn't dominate.
Well, and until everyone does it, it'll just be a giant mismatch. I mean, you've all got to do it at the same time, or you're going to have a 6'7" guy up against a 5'9" guy.
Correct. There's some of the best guys like Jared Witts. What he can do, I've got him this week. That's why it's front of mind. But what he can do in terms of getting momentum for Gold Coast is really strong. Is that purely ranked on his hit getting it to Matty Rao's chest? Maybe not, but putting it into a section where they can dominate from.
You'd be heading off to the Gold Coast
Going tonight, yes.
tonight.
You can sort of take 2 options because today's our day off.
Yeah.
You can fly up early. I've got family all over Gold Coast, so
You're going to
gotta
go
up
later.
tonight and have a little. No, the boys fly up tomorrow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm going.
What are you
12
doing
hours
tonight?
earlier.
Cocktails and dreams?
No, it's more breakfast tomorrow.
Oh, is
Nice.
it?
Nice.
Go out for
And
a
then
cafe.
wander into Ripley's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go to Wet and Wild.
Gee, you got a busy day tomorrow. Don't peak tonight. Have a couple of sherbets tonight, or is that off the table for the
Won't
club
go
captain?
sherbets tonight.
No. Is
yeah.
that hard though? If you're at a family do, and I know that's breakfast, but
Yep.
tonight if you get the hotel room on your own, there's a little half bottle of Shiraz.
Not as hard when you have to just give it up for 2 days before a game.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm staying at a hotel 8 days before a game,
Sure.
might be
Have a
Yeah,
half
for
bottle
sure.
of
Tempted.
a mini Shiraz.
something. something in a
Carlton,
pepper jack.
Brisbane tomorrow night. Of course. My apologies. Carlton, Brisbane tomorrow night. That should be a belter.
Yeah. Luke Hodge, I just saw tipped Carlton, and I'm pretty sure he goes for Brisbane. So I'm going to follow Hodgie and go for Carlton.
Richmond, West Coast. I mean, this could be West Coast.
Oh, God. Both struggling.
Well, I mean, Saturday at the G. Yeah, I'm going to go Tigers, but who knows what West Coast can bring Saturday at the G. It's probably their only time they come to the G.
Tigers lost their last 5, or did I make
Yeah,
that up?
haven't won since round 2, I think.
They've had a tough draw. I will give them that.
Like us, North. Geelong, Adelaide. That should be a cracker too.
Yeah, down. What do they call that stadium?
What is it?
GMHBA.
GMHBA, yeah.
I still call it Skilled. When was it Skilled?
That was 2002.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Geelong, I think.
And then, of course, Saturday, a massive time slot, 4:35, Gold Coast, Melbourne.
Quite a prominent Gold Coast time slot. They do play this one a lot.
I like a twilight.
Yeah, every time I go to Metricon, I seem to be playing the Twilight game. Gold Coast are extremely hard to beat in Gold Coast. Sorry, that's not selling them short here as well. They just beat Richmond at Marvel, but Geelong got beat round 3 up there. It's a very tough game.
They're a bit hot and cold, aren't they?
Yeah, last year we won 10 in a row, and the Gold Coast was the 3rd one, and we only won by 3 or 4 points.
Remember that
So
wet
it was
night?
Close, yeah. So we're expecting it to be pretty close.
And Jared Witts is just about, along with you, one of the best ruckmen in the comp. Leads hit outs, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, not liked by Lee Montagna, but
No, Lee doesn't rate him.
he can play, Jared.
Well done. I'm tipping Melbourne. GWS Giants versus the Bulldogs.
Little rivalry here, Marty.
Yeah, a little bit of rivalry here. They don't like each other, do they?
No, they obviously the great prelim, I think it was.
Yeah,
that,
16.
that went down to the wire. I'm going to go Giants. I liked what I saw in Sydney.
Freo Hawthorn.
Is this over in Perth? I'm
Yeah.
presuming.
Yeah.
I'll go Freo.
Pass.
Oh, man.
I'll go Freo.
Pass. Port Bombers could be a good game of football.
Will be a good game of football. Essendon just beat us over in Adelaide Oval, so they play it quite well. I'm going to go Bombers. I'm going to go Bombers in an upset.
Are you?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice one. Collingwood Sydney.
They played in the prelim
Yep.
together. This is the first game back since. That was a pretty good prelim, if you remember.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the first 3 quarters, Sydney were in front by about 30 points the whole
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And then Collingwood, like they normally do, they came back, and it'll probably happen the same way. Sydney will be
Yeah.
up by 5 goals, and Collingwood will come back and win the game.
And then, of course, game of the round, North St Kilda, Sunday 4:40.
The
Once
Sunday,
again, the 4:40 slot for the Roo boys.
there's only one worse than the Saturday twilight spot, and it's the Sunday twilight spot.
St Kilda will be so unhappy. But it's a home game for us. I can't make it again because I'm away.
Ah,
I haven't seen them play live this year.
Haven't you?
No.
you've been very busy.
I know.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm not busy, they're somewhere else.
Maybe it's a
Damn.
sign.
I'll say North by 6.
You wouldn't,
6 goals.
you wouldn't travel to watch North?
Um,
Have you done a Hobart one?
no,
No.
I've not done a Hobart one. No. I remember I could have gone to Freo, but
Yeah.
then my flight was delayed.
Yeah.
Uh,
You could have
so
seen the first
I
half.
could have seen the first
Oh,
half.
and they won as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Good story, Marty. I
I'm
got
gonna
a
go
million
Saints.
of them, Max.
I'm going to go Saints.
I got a million, mate. I don't want to keep you any longer than you have to stay, but I can tell you some North stories. Wow.
Max Gone, thanks for joining
Have
us this
fun, mate.
morning.
Thanks, guys.